All right, let's get this party started. How's everybody doing? I'm going to do a quick comic book haul of some $1 and some 50-cent comics. I'm not sure where they came from. Probably from local comic book shop. I don't even know when. Hey, Custom Comic Shop, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. So we're just going to do a quick haul. I noticed at least a couple of people I followed, their live streams were mainly auctions, so I thought I'd maybe give a couple of people an alternative to watch some hauls versus watching auctions. So I think, at least from this first group, for the most part, they're all modern books. So these I got for $1 a piece. We have House of X #5. You bet. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. This is from 2019. This is the F cover, Scotty Young variant. And this is part 9 of a 12-issue crossover with Powers of X. Don't know if it's Powers of 10, Powers of X. I don't know that it really matters. So I'll just call it House of X and Powers of X. That works for me. Here we have Justice League Dark #15. The B cover by Clayton Crane. And this issue features the first full team appearance of Justice League Dark. Clarion with a C, Clarion with a K, Solomon Grundy, and Parliamental Flowers. Talk about a frightening name. I was beaten up by Parliamental Flowers. We have Hex Wives #1, the A cover from 2018. Written by Ben Blacker, art by Mirka Andolfo, and cover by Joelle Jones. How you doing tonight? Staying safe, staying indoors? Guardians of the Galaxy, The Prodigal Son #1. The A cover, written by Peter David, longtime Incredible Hulk writer. I think he also wrote the Stephen King stuff, right? Why is the name of that series escaping me? They just made a movie about it, which wasn't too good from what I understand. Good. That's the best thing you can do. What the heck is that series called? I think The Stand was one of them. The Gunslinger. Gosh. Well, at any rate, Peter David wrote the comic adaptation for that. Art is by Francesco Manna, and the cover is by Miko Swayan. All right, now these were 50-cent pickups. Most of them are in good condition. Some of them are not. Starting with this one, Beowulf #2. You can see someone testing a ballpoint pen on that rascal. This is from 1975, written by Michael Uslan, art and cover by Ricardo Villamonte. Because I have about way too many of these, Ghost Rider #31 from 1992. cover by Andy Kubert. The story is The Rise of the Midnight Suns, Part 6 of 6. This is the polybagged edition with the poster. We have Transformers, issue number 1. From 2006, the B cover. Written by Simon Furman, cover by James Raiz. R-A-I-Z, might be Rice. Then we have Doctor Strange number 4 from 2018. This is the C cover, which is the second printing. And it's written by Mark Waid. Pretty good series. We have issue number 8 from 2019. This is the A cover with art by Javier Pina, the cover by Kevin Nolan. Issue 13, A cover, art by Barry Kitson, cover by Jesus Saiz. Doctor Strange agrees to become a herald of Galactus in this issue. Because I'm a really big fan of Robert E. Howard, we have Solomon Kane number 1. It's the only reason. It's not like this is a big issue or in high demand. From 2008, this is the B cover, written by Scott Alley, art by Mario Guevara, cover by Joe Kubert. I just like Howard's characters a lot, particularly Conan Cole, Solomon Kane, Bryn McMahon. This one is Steeple number 1. The A cover from 2019, written by John Allison, and art and cover by John Allison. And we have Batman Odyssey, number 1, from 2010. This is the A cover, with writing, art, and cover all by Neil Adams. All right, I'll do one more. Some 50 centers. All right, we've got, let me move these guys first. I can see them falling down. All right, we've got Omega the Unknown, number 4. And I'd put this guy at 4.5 or 5. So these, I'd say for the most part, are low to mid grade. 1976, written by Mary Screens and Steve Gerber, cover by Ed Hannigan and Frank Giacoya. And we've got issue number 5, probably slightly better condition. Art by Jim Mooney, cover by Gil Kane and Frank Giacoya. Number 6, from 1977. This cover is by John Romita and Dave Cockrum. Yeah, they're pretty cool, I think. It'd be nice if they were in better condition, but maybe that's one of the reasons they're 50 cents, right? Number 10, art by Jim Mooney, cover by Dave Cockrum and Pablo Marcos. And then we've got Claw the Unconquered, number 5, from 1976, written by David Michelini, art and cover by the incomparable Ernie Chan. Number 6, again, art and cover by Ernie Chan, who was just an incredible artist, but specifically when it came to sword and sorcery, I think that was his sweet spot. Shogun Warriors, number 12. Big fan of this series. Ah, excellent. Good. It's a good read. I think you'll enjoy it. I like it. I think I got 1 through 12, maybe from these 50-cent runs. I'll have to go back and look. I think I got like 2 through, not 1 through 12, 1 through 6. I think I got 2 through 6 and I had 1 or something like that. But I'll have to check. But they're all low to mid grade, the ones I have. So good for you. That's awesome. Really like this series. I like, you know, a lot of the Japanese licensed toy comics, like Micronauts, ROM, Shogun Warriors. They're all just really well written. This was from 1980, written by Doug Monk, art by Herb Trimp and Mike Esposito, and the cover by the amazing Walt Simonson. Yeah, Ernie Chan is awesome. And I think back then, or at least when he first started for several years, he was going by Ernie Chua. And that's how he was credited. But Walt Simonson, speaking of, one of the books I just finished, again, as I read it before, in the original comic form, was it's a trade paperback, The Ballad of Beta Ray Bill. And it has issues I think 337, 338, 339, 340 of Thor. Obviously, the introduction of Bill and that first arc. And it just reminded me what a great read that was. I'm a huge fan of Beta Ray Bill. He's one of my faves, and so it was nice to read it again. Yeah, Shogun Warriors was a great read. It just ended a little too soon. I think it was really picking up steam, but didn't have enough to propel it on through 50 or 60 issues like Micronauts and ROM did. This one's kind of interesting. A shout out to Metarog. This is the type of fare that he would be into. He probably already has it. But this is The Adventures of Jello Man and Wobbly, issue number 1. And I shudder to think that there was more than one issue. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't put my money on it. This is from 1991. It's a promotional comic distributed by Kraft General Foods Incorporated. Written by Michael J. Pawlowski and art by Richard Howell. No relation to Mr. and Mrs. Howell from Gilligan's Island. So pretty wild. I saw it there. I figured I'd pick it up. Here's another one of the Charlton reprints by Modern Comics. This is Fightin' Army number 108. So yeah, those obscure titles are great. So there's the Modern Comics. It's a Charlton reprint where you'd see the Charlton logo. I wish I had the Charlton one so I could see the differences between the two. It's got the Comics Code Authority stamp on there. 35 cents. I imagine the Charlton was 25 cents because they're usually from 3 to 6 years prior, but I don't know. I figured for 50 cents it was a neat pickup and might be a good read. Our Army at War, number 298, featuring Sergeant Rock. This one's from 1976, written by Bob Conager, art by Frank Redondo and Sam Glanzman, and a cover by Joe Cooper. Only because I never got one originally. OMAC number 1 from the New 52. This is the A cover from 2011, written by Dan Didio, who just got let go, right? At least a month ago by DC. Art and cover by Keith Giffen. This is the first printing. The Emergency TV series. Huh, I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to check that out. And I'll look out. If I see any, I'll pick them up for you. Tarzan, number 26. The Marvel iteration from 1979. Written by Bill Mantlo. Art by Sal Buscema and Bob Hall. And the cover by Rich Buckler. And Stan Lee and Jack Kirby appear in this comic as boys. So let's check it out. Let's see if we can identify them in here. That'll be fun. All right. So I'm going to look through this guy and see if I can find a boy Stan Lee and a boy Jack Kirby, who are rumored to be in here. If I remember, I don't remember where I heard that. If I remember, it's when some lion or animal was being abused or something like that. So, how about some spot belts with Orenthal James? Gets you right there. Right. Let's see. I think this is probably it. I think they're saying these two are. Yeah. Yeah, maybe the Juice is watching. He's allowed to nowadays. Okay. Look at all the animals, Jack. What a show. You ain't kidding, Stan. It'd make a great comic book. We're going to milk these rubes, babe. Squeeze them till they're dry, then watch them. Heck's that say? Line up to get squeezed again. So, I guess that's supposed to be Jack Kirby as a kid. And that's supposed to be Stan Lee as a kid. There we go. Pretty wild. Let's see. Anything else in there? That's pretty boss. Captain America's Flying Shield. Let's see if there are any other references in there to those two kids. That's a trip. No, I don't see any others, but Kryptonite Rocks advertisement in a Marvel mag. That's pretty wild. I think that is it in this one. There's a sweet ass Daisy pump action. All right, I'll put that one back. But there it is. Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. All right, and lastly, we have a pretty rough looking Destructor #2. This is from 1975, published by Atlas/Seaboard. Cover by Larry Lieber and Frank Giacoia. Larry Lieber, of course, being the brother of Stan Lee. That's pretty wild, I think, because obviously that was started by Goodman, right? Martin Goodman, after he had already sold Marvel. And I think Larry Lieber had been previously in charge of Color Comics. And for Atlas, Goodman put him on the black and white line of magazines. And the guy who was in charge of the Color Comics, I think he worked previously for like Warren or something like that. And he had worked on the black and whites. So for some reason, they were put on the lines that they hadn't any previous experience in. Just weird. And then, gosh, I wish I remember who it was. The guy who was working on the color magazines, he either left or got fired. And then Larry Lieber had to handle both. And by that point, it was just too late. He was having to cut rates way back, because when they first came out, they were paying crazy rates to get people to jump ship from Marvel and DC. But we'll see, right? With I think Paramount buying the catalog, we'll see if anything comes of it. But that's it. That'll do it for the haul and the live stream. Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. Hope you have an awesome evening. And always remember, taking over the world, one comic book at a time. All right. Thanks. Have a good one.